because there was a moment there where I kind of quit acting. I had kids, and I just wasn't enjoying the process. And I went to Peru with my buddy. It was Sonny. Sonny calls me. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing a Peru trip. We're going to shoot a documentary." And he's like, "I got $10,000 I can give you if you want to come and just hang out." And I was like, well, "What's the point of it? What's the whole point of the documentary?" He's like, "It's kind of like a Super Size Me that just come out, He goes, "But instead of eating McDonald's every day, we're gonna stop eating sugar. There's gonna be no caffeine, no drugs, no alcohol. We're kind of like a Purif, essentially." I was like, okay. I go down to Peru, and it turns into it's just us on dirt bikes, and we end up taking a ton of ayahuasca and going down this hole, which I didn't know what ayahuasca was at this time. Yeah. They just kept calling it, "We're going to go do the medicine." I was like, "Oh, I'll take whatever medicine, I'll try some fun stuff, and it's like a Mountain Dew bottle that the top's been cut off of 20 ounce. I'm drinking this green stuff.
Oh, my God. That's not the way
in
to
the
do
mountains of Ollantaytambo, I did this after being in a Peruvian hospital in Cusco for having parasites and salmonella because I'd eaten some chicken I'd bought off the side of the road in Puno.
Smart.
I made that mistake in Puerto Rico a couple times.
Yeah. It smells so good.
Yeah.
We've all
power
made the
bars.
It's the trip from San Juan down to like the southern part or to Rincon on the west side. And you're like, oh, that's like there's no fucking McDonald's out here. I got to do something.
Yeah. And it looks delicious. It's on an open fire. It's hot. It's got to be good. Yeah,
but it's not.
Salmonella, parasites. Yeah. So I'd been and I had elephantitis, so my nuts had swollen up to like grapefruits. So I'm like having to set them on the gas tank, to
Is
dry.
It really that bad?
Buddy, it is that bad. The skin is completely taut.
Oh, God. That does not sound fun.
Super painful,
man.
Not a flattering look by any means. So yeah, I came back from that, and it was like I had this. I went through this awful trip, on ayahuasca, and kind of, refound myself in this weird way, and I came back, and I was like, so I started doing all those guest spots, and then it led to 24, which was one of those auditions where me and Mikey were the two guys that were auditioning for
Michael Raymond James.
We were both actually reading for Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character, and it was the three of us. Excuse me, and Freddie Prinze got it. But after the audition, the guys were like, "Hey, I don't think this is going to work, but there's something that we're going to bring you back on." And that's one of those kind of things you hear all the time. You're like, whatever. And they called me a couple weeks later, and I got to go work with Kiefer and do that job.
He was hot.
Yeah.
That might be like his brightest moment.
Kiefer?
Yeah, like mid 24.
Yeah.
Especially after the first 2 seasons, he was hot. And there's a story about you with Kiefer in a diner.
Sure is. Do you remember Dimples that night? Do we have a photo from that?
That was
it's in the.
Here's the thing.
Kiefer Sutherland, Clayne Crawford, and then Dimples.
It was in Variety, wasn't it?
No, it was
Page
in
6? Was it Page 6?
Us Weekly.
I was in Us.
So here's the thing.
Us Weekly is what it was.
I met Kiefer. This was before 24. So I met Kiefer. I was dating this girl named Ashley. And Ashley was good friends with Kiefer and a few other guys that I was a big fan of. And we went all out drinking the night before. It was Thursday night, so the next day was Good Friday, right? It was the Easter weekend, which Hollywood kind of shuts down. So Thursday night, we went to the Dollar Tree in Burbank, and we got absolutely shit-canned. And Kiefer left his car. I don't even remember how I got home that night. And the next morning, that Friday, Ashley's phone's lighting up, and it's Kiefer going, "Hey, I need to go get my car. Can you guys take me down there?" So we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we go pick him up, and we take him down there to pick his car. And he's like, "Well, we're here. Should we grab a drink?"
Yeah. You called me, and you're like, "Hey, dude, we're going to Dimples." And I was like, "All right."
It's like 10:30 in the morning, so we start drinking. And he's like, "Oh, this place sucks." He's like, hold on. So he calls, and he's like talking to somebody. He's like, "Hey, let's go to Dimples." And I was like, "Oh, the karaoke bar in Burbank?" He's like, "Bingo." So we go. It's not open. So Kiefer, the owner's opening the door up, getting us inside, right? And he's turning on lights and setting up the karaoke machine. And we proceed to drink and just get absolutely hammered. Well, it's Friday. So by that night, the whole place is packed. And I guess I'm assuming you're about to pull up a photograph.
Well, I don't know, Bob. Did you find it? Oh, you've got it?
Yeah. I'm just better at life than he is.
There you go. Send it to, because this is one for the record books, and you're definitely going to want to see this.
I'll send it to the
I just want to say that Kiefer...
Before you see this picture...
Let me just say that Kiefer is not only his heart is so massive. He is such a wonderful human being. He thinks about others. No matter how hard he parties, when he shows up to work, that guy knows every single line. He knows what he's meant to do, and he does it with absolute precision. So I just want to say how much I love this guy.
For sure. Before we see this photo, obviously, because Kiefer used to come into Jesse's restaurant all the time. Was completely obliterated. Every story we have about him involves him drinking an entire bottle of whatever. He was a good tipper. There you go. Boom. So put that up on screen. That's from Dimples that night. So you were uncomfortable with male nudity at the time. He knew that and exploited your weakness.
So I'm not uncomfortable. Here's the situation.
The food had just come, and you're like, I'm going to pretend to keep eating.
Here's what happens, okay? So there had been a lot of mooning and ass showing throughout the day when this establishment was empty. At this point in the evening,
it was packed.
Kiefer had already, because Christian Slater had walked in. Okay, I'm a huge fan of Young Guns, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
So this was a big moment for me. Okay,
college,
so Christian walks in and he's able to kind of bypass the line of the karaoke bar, and he gets right up front and he sings New York, New York. And I'm sure you'll be able to find a photo of Christian Slater on stage singing New York, New York, and Kiefer runs up on stage and drops his pants and starts kind of dancing, showing his hiney to the crowd, to everyone's delight. And then he comes back to the table and he sits down and he keeps wanting to take his pants off. But what Kiefer was confused by is, if you see in the photo, the tablecloth is in our laps. So he's assuming the tablecloth is going down on the other side, right? And that this is a secret. What's happening?
No secret.
But it's no secret. And so what's happened is my buddy goes, "Hey," and I look and everybody's camera phone is on. And so I turn, because I've got this massive handlebar mustache, and I just, so yeah, I was trying to get out of the photograph.
But there was nowhere to go.
There was nowhere to go. But again, I love that man dearly, and I'm grateful for that.
And that should be framed inside your house. That's a
It
piece that should live
The
forever.
wife doesn't let me keep it in the house, but it is in the garage.
Yeah. And then you made a string of, shit, dude. You did the Glades. The Glades was great. Justified was fucking great.
Yeah, did you hook up with AJ on that? Because he played a cousin on Justified as well.
No,
I feel like you're probably up against AJ Buckley a lot.
We may have been. Like I said, I only met him at the golf tournament, and then we just realized that we had so many mutual friends. For me, I met Walt Goggins on that, because my first scene was I play like a nurse doctor, kind of doctoring him up.
After he gets shot in the chest. Right?
Yeah, it was
season 1. Yeah,
it was just a good gig, man. Yeah. I was kind of working my way back into the system, because, like I told you, after the Great Raid, I just said forget Hollywood, not Hollywood, but I wanted to find a way to be able to perform and not have to. Because, man, when we were doing the Great Raid, like, Miramax sent out an executive every 2 weeks to give John all these ridiculous notes, and we're talking about the guy who made, again, Rounders was a great meal, and Last Seduction, and so I was trying to kind of get back into it, and this was kind of the path, doing these TV shows. And the Glades was honestly, when I booked that and they said we're going to be shooting in Miami, that allowed me to go to my wife and say, hey, if I'm going to be shooting this series down in Florida, why don't we buy a farm in Alabama? Mm-hmm. It's an easier commute.
Yeah.
And we can have just a better quality of life for the kids. So the Glades didn't work out, because, my character was in prison the whole time, like most of my characters, and I was always behind glass on the fucking phone, and I was just like, guys, please let me out of this. So I kept begging them to let me out of the contract. They wouldn't. So when my off days, I'd fly to L.A. and audition for other stuff, and that's when I booked All Signs of Death with Alan Ball for HBO, and we went and shot a pilot. It didn't get picked up, but that's what led to Rectify.
Right.
And I was in Alabama, and Rectify shot in Atlanta, and it really kind of solidified that I didn't have to be in Los Angeles anymore to kind of do what it is that I love.
And it was a close commute from
2-hour drive from my farm to set.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that, because they're like, "Oh shit, you're not your entire state over." No, it's 2-hour drive, and you're good to go. Yeah,
and you can be in Nashville in 2 hours. You can be in New Orleans in 5. And at that time, the tax incentives hadn't been pulled out of New Orleans, so New Orleans was a bumping hub as it relates to film. So it definitely that helped kind of motivate that push. That was a big gig.
And then after that, Lethal Weapon happened, which we talked about. Then the killing of 2 lovers, and now the integrity of Joseph Chambers, which you guys have was that just in Tribeca a couple weeks ago? I feel like on your Instagram I saw you and Mikey there.
Yeah, it was at Tribeca. We premiered there. That was our world premiere in competition, and then we're at Champaliès, which is in Paris, and then now we're about to have our Melbourne premiere in a couple of weeks, or next week. I think it's August 4th.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob, if we can, we'll play the trailer now for it and pop it up because this isn't sold, correct?
Yeah. We have correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm in the process.
Yeah. So let's play this trailer because this is fantastic, and then we'll chat about it here after this. Go ahead and play it, Bob.
Hey, little lady.
I'm sleeping. Please go back to the bathroom, shave it
I'm
off.
not shaving it off. It's my hunting look. Tons of guys around here hunt for their livelihood.
You're not from here, Joe.
Can I borrow your rifle?
You need ammo?
No, I bought some. Sorry.
If you just wait till next week, I can go.
Thanks again. This is Jeffrey Dean Morgan is in this. Michael Raymond James. Jordana Brewster. It's a stacked cast.
It was nice during COVID.
Hillary Burton.
I'm the mustache man.
Hillary's not in it.
Oh, she's married to
Jeff any way I can.
The whole point of this was I could take care of my family. My wife didn't even want me to come out here today. I'm just saying, it seems like the whole world's falling apart. Come on, Joe. These things happened. You're doing what's right. You did the right thing, Joe. You have to tell me what happened.